5 mistakes people make when insuring their classic car. Today we're going to talk about insurance again. And over the last couple of years and car accidents, I've learned that there are a lot of mistakes that people make that they aren't aware of until their classic car gets into an accident. And then they think they have insurance, and guess what? They don't. Their insurance is on paper only. It doesn't actually do anything in the real world, or at least, without jumping through a bunch of hoops. So, without further ado, the 5 mistakes. Mistake number 1, buying your insurance online from the insurance company directly. Now, most of us hate going through middlemen, but there is a person out there who makes sure that the insurance company is held accountable for what they are selling you. And this is all done up front, meaning that you can't make the insurance company accountable after they sell you the policy. You have to make sure that they're going to be held accountable beforehand. That's what insurance is. It's a forced form of gambling that all of us have to buy into. So the person who is the bookie in this case would be the agent. And the agent is supposed to work for you. That means that if you go through an agent and you tell them, I want to make sure that if I get into an accident in my 280 SL, I get I get $50,000 cash in my hand to fix the car with, they're going to say, great, we need to insure for 65 because they're only going to give you 75%, give or take a little bit, of the actual value of the vehicle. So if you go through and get, an agreed value policy, you don't get 100% of the agreed value unless you give your car to Copart. So, number 1, go through an agent and be very clear about what your expectations are. If your expectations are saving money, maybe reconsider that expectation and look at some other expectations that you have, such as, I want to make sure I can afford to get my car fixed. This segues into number 2. Agreed value coverage does not mean exactly what it says. Agreed value is only in the case of a total loss. Why? Because your insurance company wants your wrecked car. It doesn't matter if it's a collector car insurance company or a big box insurance company. They want your car. They want the parts from the car. They want to sell the car through Copart and make some money on it to a salvage yard. The auto salvage industry is a booming industry. Why? Because new cars are so bad, and because used parts are starting to be perceived in some cases as better and more affordable than new parts. In some cases, it's the only choice people have, particularly with collectible cars. So, if you have an agreed value set on your 380 SL of $20,000 and you get in an accident, the insurance company isn't going to say, here's 20 grand to fix your car with, Mr. Polk. They're going to say, here's 15 if you want to fix it, but you get 20 if you total it. That's not right. So you need to figure out what the actual repair number is that you want to end up with cash in hand. That means that if you want 20 grand to fix your 380 SL with, you should probably insure for somewhere between 25 and 30. Number 3, agreed value does not necessarily mean that you're covered in the case of uninsured motorist, theft, catastrophic loss, floods, act of God, etc. All of these things have to be accounted for by separate parts of your policy. That means that if you have a collector car and you leave it parked in the street and an uninsured motorist hits it, you may not be eligible to receive the full payout unless you have uninsured motorist coverage. Or comprehensive insurance, where everything gets covered if the car is out being used. This is a big problem with the collector car insurance industry because they still function in some ways like a standard car insurance policy. They just want you to think that they're easier to work with. But of course, because of the lead that Hedary is given, because they've turned to this gorilla in the room with collector car insurance, we're going to find that the rules are going to start changing. So we have to stay updated on them. Now, rule number 3. Rule number 3 is making sure that you go through an actual company that provides agreed value coverage. This means that before your car gets into an accident, you need to agree with your insurance company on the value of that car. You can't hope they're going to honor market values, because they don't. This is especially true if you elect to not have collector car insurance. For example, with my 1983 300D with 425,000 miles and faded paint that I've driven every day for the last 13 years, not every day, but most days, many days, I have an agreed value policy with Progressive. I can't have a collector policy because it's my daily driver, but I have an agreed value policy in case the car gets totaled. What does that mean? It means that I have $9,000 to fix the car with. It's not a huge amount of money, but under the case of most accidents, if I supplement some of the labor, it should be pretty good. Now, the reason that most insurance companies do not bring up agreed value, and we're not talking about collector car, we're talking about regular insurance policies. The reason they don't bring it up is because they don't want to pay out. And yes, it's going to be significantly more, because then you're paying to insure your classic car like a modern car. People go, why is the insurance on a 40-year-old Mercedes so cheap? Well, it's because the insurance company values your car as scrap metal. So they're basically just taking your money, and then if you get in an accident, you're basically paying them to be allowed to drive your car. So I learned this game a long time ago, and it's really unfortunate, but it's true. Number 4, are you carrying insurance on your car for when it's sitting in your garage and not being used? Yes. What does that sound like? Double insurance? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Now, if you're like me and you have your cars stored in a facility outside of your home, the facility needs to have some kind of insurance on it to cover anything that happens to your vehicle while it's sitting there. So I have an insurance policy on my collectible cars for when I drive them, but for when they're sitting, because I know there's some gray area, there's a secondary policy that insures everything in the building. Pierre, how much does this cost? Well, it's expensive, yes, but the thing is, because I have a policy for my business, I umbrella it so it covers my personal vehicles that I have here as well. It's funny because garage keepers policies, on the other hand, are notoriously vague. And it can help if you have some of your personal vehicles stored there. So this is a unique case that doesn't apply to everybody, but if you're running a business, and you have enclosed parking, it is better to keep your collector cars at the business if you have an insurance policy that covers the items that are at the business. Number 5, and this one is my absolute favorite insurance mistake. So the worst, biggest, most confounding mistake people make is they think that the insurance money they get if their car gets wrecked is going to pay for all of the repairs. It's not. So if you have a collector car that you really care about, you need to have a little savings account that you add to periodically so that if something happens, you can supplement the insurance repair cost with your own money, because you're going to have to do that. Going through insurance it's a long and difficult process, but getting your car repaired is even more difficult than trying to get insurance to pay out. All I have to say is, just because you were paying for insurance for the last 15 years doesn't mean they're going to show up and help you when you need them. They're not. Just like everything else in this world, you have to do some of it yourself, and you shouldn't expect anybody to help you. I don't think there's a single YouTube channel that says that you're going to have to expect to pay part of your car's repair cost. The biggest mistake I see when people's cars get into an accident, by the way, is the fact that they choose not to repair them, or they trust the wrong person to repair them. But that's a topic for another day. In the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe. Tap the bell for notifications, and try to watch out for other drivers. Be a vigilant driver, because the best insurance is awareness. We'll see you guys in the next video.